Welcome to the first episode of the Altitude Report, a new podcast covering the Utah Jazz and the Utah Mammoth. Today, we start with episode 1, and no better way to start than with the post-NBA Combine mock draft. Now, what I've done is I've gone to 5 of the biggest name websites and looked through all their mock drafts, 4 picks, 5, 21, 43, and 53, and I've compiled a list of those together. And through this episode, we're going to talk about which prospects they suggest, who they want the Jazz to take, and who I would take if I was in this situation using these mock drafts, building around this Jazz team. So we'll start obviously at the top with the 5th pick. The Jazz entered the NBA draft lottery with the best chance of landing the first overall pick, tied with the Wizards and Hornets with a 14% chance. But as we know, it did not go that way, where the Mavs got the first pick, the Spurs got second, Sixers third, and then Hornets at 4. So that leaves the Jazz with the 5th pick in the draft, which was the lowest odds they could get, or lowest pick they could get. Now, what I've used is I've gone to ESPN, Bleacher Report, Yahoo, The Ringer, and The Athletic to find I've taken 3 players from those mock drafts at every spot, and at the 5th pick, ESPN has the Utah Jazz taking Jeremiah Fears, point guard out of Oklahoma, the freshman sensation, a big 6'4" point guard, can get to the rim, can create, measured in well with a 6'5" wingspan, so he's got the length, he's just very raw. We'll look now here at the basketball reference for Jeremiah Fears. 17 points per game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 43% from the field, 28.4% from the three-point line. This is where we obviously could see Fears play a lot better, just elevate his game to the next level with that three-point shooting. But around the rim, he's a crafty finisher, gets his teammates involved with, as you can see, with the 4.1 assists. But the most important thing I want to look at here is the free throw percentage here. So we see 85.1% from the foul line. That shows that Fears has touch. He has shooting. He's a young prospect. I believe he doesn't turn 19 until about October, or he either just turned 19 or he's turning 19 in October. I forget if that's him or Trey Johnson, but they're both some very young prospects. I mean, we look here, 50% from two-point land. Effective field goal percentage, 48%. Fears has the potential to be a all-star caliber guard. He's a great finisher at the rim, can make some huge plays for whatever team he's on. And I think if you look at the Jazz now, obviously taking Keontae and Isaiah Collier in the last 2 drafts, they want to solidify that point guard spot. But if you look at their stats, it's a spot where the Jazz struggle with shooting. You look back, Collier averaged 8.7 points, 6.3 assists, but he's shooting 42%, 24% from 3. Keontae, a little better from 3, as he put up 16.8, 5.6 assists, but 39% from the field and 34.3% from three-point land. It's not a good shooting duo already, so Fears has shown upside that I think is higher than George and Collier possess. So with those 2 guys being there, I would not rule out the pick of Jeremiah Fears, but just know that you have some young guards who still need to get better and get used to playing in this league. So now we look into the next 2 drafts. The Athletic and Bleacher Report both had the Jazz taking Trey Johnson out of Texas, the 6'6" guard, 19.9 points per game, averages the most out of anyone in the SEC. You see a lot of Tyler Hero in his game when you watch Trey Johnson play. As we'll head back over to Basketball Reference. And, Trey Johnson, 19.9 points a game, 3 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 42% from the field, 39.7% from three-point land. So you're going to look at Trey Johnson, you're going to see 42.7%. there's a lot of time where their Texas team just had no support around him. Obviously, the best player on the team did as much as he could for the team, all SEC, all freshman, SEC Rookie of the Year. But Johnson just did not have the help around him. So he's taking a lot of pull-up, mid-range jumpers, a lot of pull-up threes, trying to create off the dribble with contested shots that just weren't dropping. But 40% from three, basically, he's hitting those wide open threes. If you leave him open, he's going to hit it. If he's able to get cooking a little bit, make a couple open shots, that's when you get worried about the dribble drive pull-up shots. He could get better finishing around the rim. We look at his 2-point percentage, 44.9%. Fears was at about 50%. So he has some trouble finishing around the rim. But once again, a young player who's got a lot of room to grow. Another one of the youngest players in the draft. If Trey Johnson is able to go to Utah with this pick, I honestly think he fits in perfectly here. Put him in at the 2, next to Keontae, next to Isaiah, so Trey doesn't have to be as ball dominant as he was at Texas. They can dribble drive, they can create, kick it out to him for 3. If Trey needs to create his own shot, he's going to create his own shot. Whether it's a turn away 3, whether it's a dribble drive, step back, mid-range shot. Trey Johnson can create these shots, and without having to shoot the volume of shots that he had to take while he was at Texas, you could see that efficiency sky through the roof for Trey Johnson. Lastly, the guy that both Yahoo and the Ringer said would be the fit for the Jazz is Con Knipple. Obviously the guard forward out of Duke, 6'7", 217, had a great season, all ACC, all freshman team, was magnificent in the ACC tourney with Cooper Flagg missing a little bit of that. 14.4 points, 4 rebounds, 2.7 assists. Shot the best out of these 3 guys, 47.9% from the field, 40.6% from 3, 91.4% from the foul line. Con Knipple, absolute sharpshooter. That's what you're going to get out of him. You want someone to play at the 3, next to Lowry, next to Walker Kessler in the front court. Con Knipple's going to be that guy. He's going to sit in the corner, catch and shoot threes, can dribble a little bit, can create a little bit, but isn't the best. More pick and roll guy. Downside of him, he's not going to be the greatest athlete, not going to be the best defender, and he probably won't grow into these roles as much just due to a lack of athleticism compared to the other wings that he would have to guard in the NBA. So what you're getting in Knipple, spot-up shooter, can create his own shot a little bit, has some pick and roll to his game, and a very smart basketball player. He knows the game well, understands different what's the word? He just understands how the game should be run, I guess you could say. How different sets, everything that Will Hardy would give him as the Jazz head coach. Knipple could be a great addition. I don't think it's the best fit here. Personally, with the 5th pick, if I were the Utah Jazz, I would take Trey Johnson out of Texas if he's available at that point. I think Johnson is the best player you're going to get at 5. You expect Harper, Flagg, obviously, Bailey, and Edgecombe to be the top 4 picks. I think Trey Johnson at 5 there, highest upside, can be an all-NBA player. If he figures out that efficiency, if his shot's able to translate to the NBA game like we expect it to. So I think Trey Johnson would be the pick there at 5. Jazz have another first-round pick over at pick 21. And the first guy that comes from ESPN, it is Asa Newell out of University of Georgia. One of the members with Cooper Flagg and Derek Queen on that front court of that Montverde Academy team. That was absolutely outstanding their senior year. Newell got to play with his brother at Georgia, all freshman team, 6'11", 220, averaged 15.4 points a game, 6.9 rebounds, basically 1 assist, shooting 54% from the field, 29.2% from 3, and 75% from the free throw line. Georgia's best player this year was Asen Newell. Obviously, they had guys like Silas Demery on the team, but Asen Newell and Demery carried this team to the NCAA tournament this year. Georgia's one of Georgia's best teams in a while, and although they got blown out by Gonzaga, Newell was able to put down a very solid game. Actually, he had 20 points, shot 6 of 10 from the field, 0 for 2 from 3. You'd like to see him get a little bit more involved in a game like that. You'd want to see him take over a little bit more. You see 6 of 8 inside the 2-point arc, 0 for 2 from outside the arc in that game. If you're the best player on a team and your team is struggling, they went down early, you want your best players to try and step up in that situation and be a guy who could take over the game. So we see Asen Newell. He's very active on the glass. His biggest pro is he's very active on the glass, whether it's putbacks, coming down the board and then dishing it out, or just putting up and slamming it down. Asen Newell is a great player on the boards, and a bright spot with him could be his 3-point shooting as he progresses into the league. Obviously, measured in about 6'8" or 6'9" at the combine barefoot, so he's not going to be a center. He's going to be a power forward in the NBA, and this 29.2% will definitely go up. He shoots 75% on free throws, like Jeremiah Fears, has a good free throw percentage. So no, he has that touch, but he just got to develop that outside shot a little bit more. Another great athlete. Hit 26 threes this year, which in about 33 games, it's not bad. Just under 1 a game. So if he gets working out this summer, obviously at 21, you're not expecting an instant starter. So if Asen Newell can just get in, work out a little bit, and keep growing, he could be a great steal for the Jazz at 21. And the next player that both Bleacher Report and Yahoo had was Will Riley out of Illinois, 6'8" forward, freshman, reclass like Cooper Flagg from 2025 class to the 2024 class, and then went to Illinois, 195, so a little not built into his frame yet, has some growing to do. Obviously, with reclassing, is one of the younger players in the draft, averaged 12.6 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 43% from the field, 32.6% from 3, and 72% from the free throw line. Will Riley, he's a pressure cooker. So we talked about Trey Johnson earlier, how he could heat up in an instant, or his shooting can shoot him out of some games. Will Riley is the exact same type of player in that way. Obviously not as great yet of a shot creator, a shot maker as Trey Johnson, but you see his frame, 6'8", has some great athleticism, has some speed and mobility. He's a good driver to the basket, a much better finisher at the basket than someone like a Trey Johnson, but it's that outside game he's got to work on. Will Riley, we look at the tournament, we talk about him being a pressure cooker player. His first game at the tournament, 22 points a game, 8 from 12 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, and then just 2 days later, that was against Xavier, 2 days later against Kentucky, and the loss that eliminated from the season, 1 for 7 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3, finishing with just 5 points. You look up at games, you see 31 points his opening game against Eastern Illinois, his first game of his college career, should be a high school senior at this point. 10 for 13, 5 for 6 from 3 for 31 points. Absolutely great, but then you look down, a game against Oakland, 8 points, shooting 2 for 8. So it's just the inconsistencies you get of a young player, of someone who should honestly just be a high school senior. So seeing this much production, Big Ten Sixth Man of the Year at such a young age, Will Riley is definitely a prospect that could be interesting to look for in the future for the Utah Jazz. And the last guy is out of UConn, Liam McNeely. So he was also a member with Asen Newell, with Derek Queen, with Cooper Flagg on that great Montverde team. Can't talk about that team enough. They were absolutely fantastic. I think this guy's senior year of high school, 6'7", 210, all Big East, all freshman, and then He was the Big East Rookie of the Year, I believe, as well. Came in as a top 10 recruit, 14.5 points a game, 6 rebounds, 2.3 assists, 38.1% from the field, 31.7% from three. Everyone thought Liam McNeely was going to come in, be an instant star for UConn, but just the efficiency was not there. Obviously missed some games throughout the year, but it just was an underwhelming year. A guy who was seen as a possible top 10 pick just slid throughout the season, just to shooting inconsistencies. We have 43% on unguarded catch and shoot threes. So when he's not the main facilitator, he has guys out there passing the ball. He's open in the corner throughout the wings. He's going to make those shots. He's making those 43% on uncontested threes, but then 13% on pull-up threes. So he's trying to create his own shot. He's trying to make something out of nothing. He's taking these pull-up shots. He's 13%. And watching some UConn games, especially earlier in the year when they were struggling, Liam McNeely was just not playing his best. I mean, we saw him in high school. He was absolutely fantastic. He comes to UConn. He's not making his shots that we saw him make. It's those pull-up threes. It's that transition from high school to college where we see five-star recruits start to fade away. But he's great on-ball player. Or off-ball player, sorry. Great off-ball player. You use him in pick and rolls off-ball. Get him open. Let him get some shots in. Let him see them go through the basket. But he's not the shot creator that you're looking for. He shouldn't be shooting 13% on pull-up threes because he shouldn't be taking them that often. He's not the best athlete. He's not going to beat you off the dribble to the cup. A lot of comparisons for him throughout this draft, his freshman year and this draft process. I saw where Corey Kispert developed into a top 10 pick. He started as a bench player at Gonzaga and was able to work up to becoming a top 10 pick in the NBA draft. So maybe you see that with Liam McNeely. Maybe he needs a year in the G League. Maybe he needs just some time to grow into that role. Maybe it's year 3 where we see Liam McNeely become a star in this league, or just a very solid player in this league. But if we are looking at these 3 prospects for the Utah Jazz at pick number 21, personally I'm going with Will Riley. The Jazz just need players at this point. They need a bunch of buckets. Trey Johnson's a bucket. You get him at 5. He can play more of the 2. And then you look for Will Riley to be more of that long-term 3. Obviously, you have Taylor Hendricks, Cody Williams mixed in there. 2 younger guys, but we look at this league, you can never have enough wings. These wings are absolutely, you look at a team like OKC, they got guys, J-Dub, they have Isaiah Joe, Wiggins, Cason Wallace, obviously like 2s and 3s, but they got Lou Dort, and then obviously SGA is a jumbo guard. Maybe Trey Johnson could make that switch over to point guard if he gets more comfortable there. But you already have guys like Keontae and Isaiah who are good point guards and can lead the team to the best of their abilities. But I think Will Riley here just keeps stacking on talent. You got to look at OKC's roster. They're a team that's just more talented than everyone so far. So I think look at them as the blueprint and just keep stacking talent upon talent, especially in the first round here. So we're going to go into the second round picks. The 43rd overall pick is the next pick that the Jazz have in the draft. So go back over to Basketball Reference here. The first guy they have is Miles Bird out of San Diego State. Coming out as a redshirt sophomore, 6'7", 175, 12.3 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 38% from the field, 30% from 3, 83% from the line. Solid effective field goal percentage at 46%. Spent 3 years at San Diego State, one of the perennial contenders in the Mountain West. And something that made Bird fly up draft boards was his combine performance. 14 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks during one game. You saw while he was at San Diego State his ability to create offense through his defense. He averaged, let's see, 1 block and 2 steals a game. So a great perimeter defender, adding on to the guards that we have seen for the earlier picks, with both Johnson and Riley being taken as those wing players. But all Mountain West this past year, all defense. Looking for a lockdown guard, Miles Bird can be that guy who will create offense from his defense. Obviously, the jump shot's a work in progress. 38% from the field this season, 30% from three, both around his career averages in his 2 years at San Diego State, is something that's going to have to go up, something that's going to improve. But just like we've talked about, these guys are young guys. They need time to improve. They will. They'll get better, hopefully, as they progress. Next guy, from the University of Arkansas, Adu Thero. Spent 1 year or 2 years at Kentucky before transferring over to Arkansas with Coach Cal. This past year, averaged 15 points, basically 6 rebounds and 2 assists. Shot effectively, 54.5% from the field, but 25.6% from three. What you're getting from Thero is he's not the best shooter. Obviously, we could see 25.6% from three. But what you're getting is someone who will drive and get to the rack at any cost. He's going to drive hard. He's going to finish well at the rim. So if you're looking for something good there, shot all right from the free throw line, 68%. Obviously, you want to see that go up, especially for a 6'6 guard. But obviously, the struggles, his shooting and creating. He's not creating off the dribble, and he's not really knocking down those spot-up threes that you'd want to see him knock down, only shooting at 25% clip from three. So he's not going to create his own shot, and he's not really going to knock down those open threes. So that's one thing he's got to work on if he wants to crack a rotation in this league. But his athleticism, his defense, his ability to finish at the rim, and ability to get to the rim, actually, is a huge positive for Adu. So that's another option that I saw at 43. And then lastly is a three-point specialist in Kobe Brea. The transfer from Dayton, spent 4 years at Dayton before transferring over to Kentucky for his final season. 11.6 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 47% from three, 47%, 43.5% from three, 91% from the free throw line. Those stats line up a lot, very similar to Con Knipple when we look at that. Obviously not Con's point production. He had a couple more assists, a couple more rebounds. But the shooting stats, 47%, 43.5%, an absolute sharpshooter. Kobe Bryant is valuable to any team, especially if he's sitting there at the 43rd pick. If you could pick up someone who's able to knock down threes at the rate that Kobe Bryant does, with the number of threes he's taking per game, taking about 6 a game. If he's able to go 2.5, 3, that's 6 or 9 points right there. Mix in a couple more baskets, Kobe Bryant could be a double-digit point scorer and a very significant role player on a successful winning team. Now, with this pick, we've taken 2 wings already, but you can never have enough wings. Especially, we know some of these guys will not pan out at the level. And if not, they could be used as trade bait to move out of these picks. So with this pick, I would go with Miles Bird. This is just due to his combine performance. He measured in well at the combine, had a great performance. Defense is something you really want to look for in your guards. Trey Johnson's not the best defender. Will Riley hasn't shown to be the best defender. So if you could get a lockdown wing like Miles Bird to come off the bench for you, similar to an Alex Caruso role with the OKC Thunder, if Bird's able to fill that role for the Jazz, he could be a huge piece for the Jazz moving forward, especially at pick 43. So pick 53 is a point where I look for experience players who have shown great success. Usually an older player, usually older point guard maybe, to give some competition, and that's what I look for in this pick. Keontae and Isaiah Collier, both young guards, but they could be pushed by someone. And one person I really liked how they performed at the combine was Ryan Nembhard, younger brother of Andrew Nembhard, who is currently in the Indiana Pacers. And Ryan Nembhard, smaller guard, 6 foot with shoes on. I think he may be measuring at 5'10" at the combine, but he was originally invited to the G League elite camp and earned a way into the combine. And I think he's overall just a great player. The transfer from Creighton going to Gonzaga, kind of like his brother when his brother went from Florida to Gonzaga, but all West Coast Conference. 10 points, 3 rebounds, and basically 10 assists. I believe, if I'm not wrong, he led the country in assists. Yes, he has the last 2 years. And he also actually led the country in steals this year. So a defensive player who can turn defense into offense, 44% from the field, 40.4% from three. Ryan Nembhard, got him confused with his brother real quick. But Ryan Nembhard, great playmaker, an experienced guard. Obviously, a little smaller, which is going to be a downside. But having that ability, leading the nation in steals, leading the nation in assists. I have 2 other guys here. I have Tyrese Proctor out of Duke and Cam Jones out of Marquette. I think Ryan Nembhard's actually the perfect guy to fit into this list here to take at the 53rd pick. I think you could see his grit, how hard he works. And I think, especially being around his brother, he has that drive to want to be great. His brother wasn't a top pick either in the draft. I believe that Andrew Nembhard was a 2nd-round pick. Let's actually compare their stats real quick. Yeah, Andrew Nembhard. Oh, he was the first pick of the 2nd round. Yeah, 10 points, 5.3 assists. Shot a little bit similar from three or from the field, but worse from three. If Ryan Nembhard could develop into a player like his brother, that's an absolute steal with a 53rd pick in the draft. Now Nembhard could go a little higher, but if Ryan Nembhard is available at the 53rd pick, I am 100% taking Ryan Nembhard with this pick in this situation. So we wrap this up. 5th pick, we took Trey Johnson. 21st pick, we took Will Riley. 43rd pick, we took Miles Bird. And 53rd pick, we took Ryan Nembhard. I think this would be a good draft for the Jazz. Obviously, we're not taking a big in this draft. I think the big position is honestly a little crowded for the Jazz right now. Obviously, you have Walker Kessler, you have Lauren Markkinen, you have John Collins, you have Kyle Filipowski. Hendricks and Williams are both bigger forwards who could play that power forward spot. So that's why I didn't take a guy like Asa Newell with the 21st pick and didn't take anyone with one of the later picks, because I think we're seeing the 3-and-D importance in the league. So if you could get wings who are able to play some great defense while shooting the 3, if Miles Bird can elevate that 3-point shot to be successful in this league. And then with the first 2 picks, you're taking top recruits, top bucket getters in college basketball the past year, who are just young and dynamic and can create their own shots, but they're just streaky. And that's what you expect with 18-year-olds who are in high school last year, who are guys that with Will Riley should have been in high school this past year even. So Johnson and Riley, I think those are 2 absolute great picks. You see success from both of them this past year in big-time conferences, in big-time games. And then Bird, obviously being a project, being a developmental piece, being that 3-and-D potential. And then Ryan Nembhard could be, just like his brother Andrew, could be a great bench guard who's going to play make. He's not even looking for his own shot every time. He's looking to create for his own teammates. So if he's able to drive and kick it to Trey Johnson or Will Riley for an open 3, or kick it to Walker Kessler on an alley-oop, and then he can also create defensively. As we mentioned, he led the country in steals. So Ryan Nemhard would be a great pick. And then one more thing I wanted to hop into is just looking forward at the salaries for this next coming year with the Jazz. We look at everyone who was on the team last year has a contract for this year, because I'm guessing John Collins will pick up his player option there after a pretty successful year. But one thing we want get worried about is this Lauri Markkanen contract. As we see last year, $42 million. By the end of it, it's $53 million. Obviously, we're seeing an uptick in the amount of money in every NBA contract. So it's just something to look out for. Obviously, we see losing guys like Sexton, maybe losing guys like Jordan Clarkson after this year. So that's why you need some more depth, more value at the guard and wing position. So we'll talk in the future about what to do with Lauri, if we should move him, as well as John Collins, if he picks that up. Is he someone you move at the trade deadline to a contender next year? Same with Sexton. Is Clarkson getting moved? Is he getting bought out? Because we want to see guys like Trey Johnson, see someone like Will Riley get more action, see Miles Bird get in the game a little bit more. But the Jazz are actually in a good position here. You see a lot of their guys who they just drafted, Cody Williams, Taylor Hendricks, these lottery picks, who have a lot of term remaining at low cost. Walker Kessler is going to need an extension after next year, but don't expect that to be huge bank-breaking numbers. Just someone who's going to, it's about the price of someone who's just going to play good defense, get a bunch of rebounds, not assists, dunks, just a generic 5. So not someone who's going to stretch the court a lot. But he shouldn't break the bank with that contract. It'll probably be in between Collins and Markkanen, if I were to guess the money. Maybe more towards this Collins, maybe the 25 numbers where they want to be with that future extension. But we'll dive in future episodes about what the Jazz could look to do. Obviously, have to see what they do with the draft first to see where they will go, where the franchise is moving. Obviously, they aren't in the greatest position to contend this year or in the coming years, but just building this roster and trying to get as talented as possible. And I think with this draft we just talked about, I think that's exactly what they should look to do. So thanks for tuning in. Episode 1 of the Altitude Report. This is Lenny signing off.